In a spectacle that stunned royal watchers and media insiders alike, Meghan Markle reportedly erupted in fury following a scathing takedown by journalist Dan Wootton, broadcast shortly after a BBC News revelation sent shockwaves through the Sussex camp. Wootton, known for his unrelenting critiques of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, delivered what some are calling a career-crushing analysis of Meghan's ongoing media manipulation and contradictions, sparking what insiders have described as one of Meghan's most uncontrolled emotional outbursts since stepping back from royal duties. This latest chapter in the Sussex saga unfolded in the aftermath of a fresh BBC exposé shedding new light on behind-the-scenes tensions during Meghan and Harry's time as working royals. According to sources within the network, the report included unearthed communications and testimonies that challenge Meghan's previous public claims about bullying, racism, and royal neglect. Key pillars in her high-profile interviews with Oprah Winfrey and Netflix. Dan Wootton, never one to mince words, followed up the BBC piece with a brutally direct monologue on GB News, accusing Meghan of strategic victimhood and weaponizing empathy to manipulate public opinion. Wootton detailed what he called a calculated PR campaign designed to whitewash Meghan's own reported mistreatment of palace staff, several of whom previously lodged formal complaints about her behavior. In fact, as Wootton pointed out, an internal royal HR investigation was quietly buried, not out of Meghan's innocence but to avoid worsening tensions with Prince Harry. Sources close to the Sussexes claim that upon hearing Wootton's dissection of her public persona framed against the backdrop of the BBC revelations, Meghan went into an unfiltered tirade, slamming advisors and accusing British media of orchestrating a smear campaign. But this time, there's a growing consensus that the Duchess's fury wasn't just performative, it revealed the cracks in a carefully managed public image. One former royal aide, speaking anonymously due to legal constraints, stated, "Meghan was always two people, the warm, polished Duchess on camera and the demanding, controlling figure behind closed doors. Staff often felt bullied, micromanaged, and emotionally manipulated." Dan Wootton may be blunt, but he's not wrong. This allegation aligns with long-standing reports from inside the palace. In 2021, The Times reported that multiple royal staff members accused Meghan of bullying, describing her behavior as emotional cruelty and calculated humiliation. Though the palace declined to make the report public, insiders claim the findings were damning. Yet Meghan has consistently positioned herself as a victim of systemic oppression. In her Oprah interview, she claimed that her mental health was ignored, she was denied help during suicidal thoughts, and that unnamed royals questioned the skin tone of her unborn child. But as Dan Wootton emphasized, several of these claims have since been called into question. For instance, it later emerged that Meghan did have access to a personal medical team, and Prince Harry himself contradicted parts of her racial allegations in subsequent interviews. Moreover, Meghan's credibility took another hit following her Netflix docuseries, which included questionable footage and commentary. Several scenes were proven to be stock footage or unrelated paparazzi incidents, further supporting Wootton's narrative of a deliberately misleading portrayal of their royal life. In his segment, Wootton also called out what he described as hypocritical elitism, citing Meghan and Harry's continued use of royal titles while simultaneously profiting from anti-royal rhetoric. He pointed to their multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix, Spotify, and Penguin Random House, all brokered under the Sussex brand, a brand that exists solely due to their royal connection. To many viewers, Wootton's takedown felt like a long-overdue reckoning. He didn't rely on gossip or hearsay but presented a fact-based, meticulously sourced critique. He highlighted the growing discrepancy between Meghan's public statements and verifiable events. One of the most damning lines? Meghan Markle is not a victim of the media. She is a master manipulator of it. This public unraveling seems to be mirrored in private. A source close to the couple revealed that tensions have flared between Meghan and Harry over recent press coverage. Reportedly, Harry has expressed frustration at constantly being pulled into Meghan's controversies, especially as his legal battles in the UK drag on and his popularity continues to drop on both sides of the Atlantic. Meanwhile, Meghan's rumored return to Instagram and plans for a lifestyle brand have been met with skepticism. Critics argue that she's attempting to rebrand herself yet again, this time as a relatable, entrepreneurial mom. But Wootton and others have questioned whether the public will buy into another iteration of the Duchess's image without first addressing the inconsistencies and unresolved questions from her royal exit. While Meghan's defenders argue that she's merely responding to a toxic media environment, others say she's trying to rewrite history. Either way, the events of this week have pulled back the curtain on what many believe is a deliberate campaign of narrative control, one that is beginning to fall apart under journalistic scrutiny. The fallout from Dan Wootton's broadcast is still unfolding, but one thing is certain. Meghan Markle's image as a misunderstood outsider is facing its toughest test yet. With media watchdogs, royal aides, and even former supporters beginning to question her version of events, the Duchess finds herself cornered not by palace courtiers, but by facts she can no longer spin. In a media age where truth and image constantly collide, Meghan may have underestimated the endurance of truth. And now, the battle she once dominated with soft lighting and teary interviews is turning against her. Not through royal retaliation, but through the sharp edge of accountability. As public scrutiny intensifies, Meghan's once tight control over her narrative appears to be slipping. Former allies in the media are distancing themselves, while new reports continue to challenge her carefully constructed persona. Even Netflix, once eager to showcase her story, has reportedly cooled interest in future collaborations. Meanwhile, palace insiders remain largely silent, perhaps knowing the tide is turning on its own. With cracks forming in her media facade and a growing chorus demanding transparency, Meghan faces a crucial choice: confront the discrepancies head-on or retreat further into curated silence. Either way, the public's patience and belief is wearing dangerously thin.